It was an experiment where they lined up 15 men and they put some average Joe in the room. They went around with a piece of paper that had like an apple on it. It had a picture of an apple, yeah, and they told all the soldiers to say it's a pear. You can clearly see that it's an apple, and they go around and each soldier says pear, pear, pear. They get to Joe at the end and he says pear. What? The lonely chapter. I wanted to talk about it whilst I'm dead center in the middle of it. I'll give a little bit of a backstory. So I'm 22 years old, and in the last 2 years, I made a decision to reinvent myself, to completely reinvent myself. Growing up, I was always making jokes or being the butt of the joke, being someone that some people laughed at a lot more than they laughed with. I was somebody that went above and beyond to do silly, asinine things in order to get a reaction from a crowd. I was an entertainer. I wanted to be a performer, which I think has a beautiful essence, as in like wants to bring joy to people. But there's some vehicles of bringing joy to people which are virtuous, and then there's some vehicles of bringing joy to people which are detrimental to us. The reason why I wanted to talk about the lonely chapter is because if you're somebody that just wants to do a little bit better, and a little bit better doesn't just mean finances. Money is certainly a very important metric when we're talking about success. For me, I reached a period in my life where I just wanted to be better. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, I reached a point in my life where I decided to be extremely aggressive in getting the things that I want in my life and improving in the areas that I can because of years of wasted potential. In the last video about communication, I spoke about the importance of communication, but I didn't speak about the phase in which I learned communication. Anyways, so yeah, once I started to try to fulfill my potential, I instantly started to receive backlash. The truth is, people want you to do well. They just don't want you to do better than them. You have to understand that people want you to do well. They do not want you to do better than them. And I can talk about this in my current state. So I currently oversee a department at my work. Going from working side to side with people, I mean, and having good times and fun and whatnot, and like you all share the same problems, to now becoming the leader in that space and overseeing both the spaces and the people within them. I've literally seen firsthand the shift in relationships that happen and the shift in how people perceive you. And it's not a bad thing. It's not, people don't want you to do bad. It's just people do not want you to do better than them. And when you start doing better than people in the measurable metrics that both you and them care about, it creates a deep backlash and a deep resentment that is not portrayed on surface level. A deeper level of the human conscious, which goes into the subconscious of like, there's mainly little behavior changes. And ultimately, this just speaks to friction. This just speaks to going against the grain. And against the grain constantly is the feeling that you get in the lonely chapter. So currently right now, I'm in disagreement with most of society. So you want to be exceptional and you want to be successful and you want to push yourself in every boundary, you have to let go of how you feel a lot of the times. You have to go to the gym, regardless of whether you feel like it or not, to build that skill of discipline. You have to read that book, even if you don't want to build that skill of discipline. You have to do this thing. I went to church today. I didn't feel like going to church because it is the right thing in my mind to get to the person that I want to be, because I want to be spiritually strong. Cool. So if you want to do these things, understand you are around the majority of people's life is dictated by their feelings, by how they feel. And if you're watching this, then you're probably someone that's thinking, I want more than just what I feel in this current state. And that is the whole thing of delayed gratification. And understand, when you are delaying your gratification, there's a lot of things you're going to have to say no to. There's a lot of meetups you might have to say no to. There's a lifestyle change you're going to have to say yes to. But what we forget a lot of the time is, in order to say yes to something, we must by definition say no to something else. When you start to say no to what the majority of people believe, you will go against the grain and you will end up becoming lonely. You're feeling very lonely. As of this moment, as I'm recording this, I feel lonely. Like, beyond loneliness that I've felt before, that I even struggle to articulate. And as someone, I believe I'm quite a good communicator, I even struggle to detail this level of disconnection, this level of detachment. As I'm speaking now, like right now, if I believed in the worldview, if I believed in what other people told me on blah 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 blah, I would probably label myself. I would probably be able to label myself as someone who is depressed, someone who has depression, probably. But because I do not believe in the idea of depression as a eternal sadness you can just catch from the sky and there's no cure for, there's no internal cure for, because I don't believe in that, I'm going completely against the grain. Again, this is another thing. I'm feeling upset, but still, in my upsetness, in my detachment, in my apathy, in my down, upset state, whatever you want to flip and call it, I'm still going against the grain. Someone who sits in the lonely chapter disagrees with the prescriptions and disagrees with the diagnosis. Says, no, I don't believe in that. Most people believe in that. I don't believe in it. And that's where you're going to be, the lonely chapter. Most people wake up, turn on the news, and that screen that they're watching dictates their worldview. No critical thinking applied. This screen, they just sit there. Oh, well, the news said so. If you want to be exceptional, you have to understand the definition of exceptional is far from typical, which means you're not going to fit in. If you fit in, you are not exceptional. If you believe, if a group, if you're sitting there and a topic comes up about politics or a topic comes up about nutrition or health or whatever, and you believe in what everyone said, yeah, being out of shape's not your fault, it's someone else's fault. I'm upset and it's, let me take this, I'm upset, it's not my fault, it's someone else's fault. If you sitting in a crowd, that's gossip, by the way. If you sit in a group of people and you hear these conversations and you hear people that proclaim this stuff and you constantly just, yeah, I agree. I'm sorry to break it to you. You're not exceptional. You are not exceptional if you're one of these people. If you hear all of this stuff and pronounce that you rebuke it, then you are exceptional. Now, going through life constantly disagreeing with a lot of things, as I said, causes this friction. You go through psychological war. You have a decision to make in this lonely chapter, and this experiment links to it, I think, fantastically. For the sake of this whole video, we'll talk about pear man. We'll call him pear man. If you're going to be pear man, then you will not experience the lonely chapter. You'll fit in with everybody else and you'll feel fantastic. If you're going to be apple man, that right, there's an apple on there. It's an apple. And everyone says, no, it's a pear, it's a pear, it's a pear. If you then confide to what they're saying, you are pear man. If you do not confide to what they're saying, you're now apple man. And if you are apple man, welcome apple man, because you're going to experience the lonely chapter. You're going to experience a space in your life where the people that you are around on your daily endeavors, whether that is work, whether that is friends, whether that is family. And what I want to make clear as well, because I know my family watch this, I love my family to pieces, like more than you can comprehend. And my view about going against society is to build an exceptional life for my family. So I do all of this stuff for my family. But anyways, that's the lonely chapter. And I wanted to talk about the lonely chapter because it's something that I'm experiencing in this moment. The lonely chapter is lonely, hence the title. But this is for anyone that is feeling discouraged. I hope this brings a level of understanding. If you are someone, whether you're 16, 17, 18, 29, whatever, like, it doesn't matter about age, but if you're just someone that wants to do a little bit better, just thinks, do you know what? I think there's a little bit more out there for me. I don't think I've scratched on my potential yet. Understand that the moment you start thinking that, oh, I think I can get a little bit more from life, understand that everybody else around you is going to pull you back, not intentionally. Your family love you, your friends love you, the people around you, trust me, they love you. So I wanted to detail it and bring some understanding. The reason why I looked into it is because I'm like, surely I shouldn't be feeling like this, but it makes a lot of sense. When you go against the grain, you're literally going against the grain. It's going to hurt. You're going to get backlash. But there's an other side. There's a side where you come out and you get to stand there and you get to look back at the crowd that everyone said against you, and you get to go. Now, some people like revenge. I'm more of a like, I want to get to that. I'm going to get to that side. And when I get there, I'm going to be like, look, I understand. You guys didn't know any different. Here's a new path. And you can set a new path for your bloodline. You can set a new path for your friends. You can set a new path for the people that you love. But in order to be exceptional, you must be far from typical. In order to be exceptional, you must be unusual / far from typical by definition. And once you get there, you can open a path to bring everyone else. Yeah, man. If you've got this far, I am rooting for you. Keep